Over the past few weeks, hearings have been held up and down the East Coast concerning changes to Amendment 6 of the Striped Bass Management Plan. These hearings detail the different options that meet the ASMFC's goal of reducing mortality by 25%. One such hearing was held at Stony Brook University on Long Island, where attendees had the chance to ask Mike Wayne, the Fisheries Management Plan Coordinator with the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, questions on the different management plans being proposed.
I coordinate all aspects of the management process, which incorporates, doing a stock and assessment to find out what the status of the resource is. I work with a technical group that is composed of all the personnel from all the agency states that are involved in the fishery, and they work to create the assessments and work through the modeling to find out how much fish are out there, and then we take those numbers and we present them to the management board, and the management board gives guidance on how they'd like to manage the fishery based on those scientific results. And so based on that, I may be drafting documents that contain management options very similar to draft addendum 4 that we have for striped bass. So I go out on the road for hearings, getting input from the industry on how they'd like the fishery to be managed, summarize all that comment, I bring it back to the board, and ultimately we make management decisions that affect the fisheries. New York has 3 representatives. They were all here tonight that make the decision for New York. Each state that is involved in striped bass also has 3 representatives. They all get one, each state gets 1 vote. They do things through majority vote. So they will discuss all of these issues at the October meeting, and they will put forward motions that select specific options, and ultimately will end up voting state by state on which options they prefer, and whatever achieves majority is what usually goes through. I'm an angler myself. I feel like a lot of us that are in this business ended up starting as, a fisherman, and appreciating sort of that opportunity. And so I've fished for striped bass and enjoy that as much as a lot of these guys and girls.
After his presentation, the public had a chance to comment on the proposals and voice their opinions. The hearing was well attended by recreational and commercial interests and the for-hire industry.
We all know that the fishery is in decline since 2004. It's really declined 2008 till now. The stock is definitely beaten down. We want to see an increase in the fishery. We want to see a quality fishery. We all know that we need to do something today to support what's going to happen in the future. The Federation position right now is a 1-year rollout and 1 fish bag limit with an increase above the current 28-inch standard coast-wide. So we're supporting 1 at 30 and 1 at 32 inches equally, as long as it's an increase to the minimum size limit. We're just hoping that ASMFC and the board goes out, takes everything into consideration at the hearing, here at these hearings, and reacts to what the public really wants, and that's an increase in the biomass.
I want to support status quo, but I want to support it. There's some things I want to add into it. I like to reduce it over 3 years in the status quo. And I like to see the big fish eliminated. We fish in a slot size, 24 to 36 inches. Now, we can't take the big ones, and I don't think anybody should take the big ones, because all those big ones are spawners. There's nobody in this room, I think, can deny somehow that those 30, 40, 50, 60 pound fish are all spawners. We should not be fishing around with your commercial, your sporties, or whatever you are. We should let them go and take the small fish. That's all there is to it.
What I'd like to see done is 1 fish at 32 inches and a 25% reduction in take the first year. And I think those are steps that we can do, because there's one thing we can't control. We can't control all the environmental factors that allow that fish to spawn and have a successful spawn for future generations. What we can affect are the number of fish that we take every year. So let's do what we can, because what's the biggest problem? We may have too many fish, right? So let's be able to go out with our friends and our family and go catch a couple of fish.
What we're looking for, rather than the terms like equal distribution of a public resource, whether it be striped bass, fluke, or whatever it may be, we're looking for an equitable distribution. And for example, a dragger feeds the public. He needs more fish than, let's say, a charter boat captain does. But a charter boat captain, if a higher industry head boat captain, might need more fish than a recreational fisherman, because our customers come out once or twice a year on the boat, pay their money, provide a lot of income for the various fishing ports, and whereas a recreational fisherman who has access to a boat or a beach can come out 7 days a week, catch up to 14 fish a week, whereas our customers might catch 2 or 4 fish a year. And there's no absolute way to do it, but that's as equitable as we can come up with. It provides the industry, the for-hire industry, with an ability to make a living, and it does not deplete the resources. Now, we asked for the 3-year program because that is the least painful way economically for the for-hire industry to exist.
After the technical assessment came out and the Asmfc finally recognized that there really was a problem, they finally admitted it, they decided to delay action for a whole nother year. And I just felt that we know there's a problem, and there's really no reason that we have to wait for the Asmfc to do something. And that's really where the pledge was born, where people would follow a catch and release methodology, but in those instances where they wanted to take a fish, that they would only take 1 fish at no less than 32 inches a day. And just given the way the current status of the fishery, reductions have to happen. Harvest reductions have to happen, and hopefully the Asmfc will take real action that will make a real difference fast.
No one mentioned that fish have tails. So they're not where they were last year. They're not where they were the year before. They're in different places. Now, Montauk is loaded with striped bass this year. We've never seen anything like it. If there's anybody that hasn't caught any striped bass in Montauk, I'm sorry. Maybe they go to put bait on the hooks. Because we had them. We have them yet. What are the striped bass doing in the Gulf of Maine? Why are they all the way up to Maine and New Hampshire? They usually don't go up there in droves like that. Stillwagon Bank is loaded with striped bass. Our federal waters are loaded with striped bass. The bait, it all depends on the bait. You go up to Long Island Sound, the race had very poor striped bass fishing. Long Island Sound had poor striped bass fishing. There's a reason for that. The food chain is not there. The small mussels are not there. So the porgies are not there. The sea bass are not there. They haven't been there all summer. So the striped bass weren't there either because they had nothing to eat. They were where the fish are to eat. They need the food. It's not that they're overfished. I don't believe that at all. There's striped bass, there's plenty of them, but they move.
I guess the bottom line really is that there are just less fish around. Less fish mean less people that want to fish with me, less people selling tackle, less people going to Montauk and eating at the restaurants, staying at the hotels. If we're really concerned about the economics of this fishery, we need to do everything we can to see it, to rebuild it, to bring it back to formal abundance levels. I think it's important to note that the recreational fishery really depends on abundance. Commercial guys will always catch their quota. Even if there's a depleted stock, they're good fishermen, they're always going to go out and catch their quota. The rec guys, particularly the surf casters and the light tackle guys, use the most inefficient gear. So we're the guys that really need abundance to catch fish and to be successful.
Well, I suppose support, rather, 1 at 32. And there is also the bigger issue of, we went through this once before. We should have learned our lesson, and we didn't learn those lessons from history, and now we've got to tighten up the regulations, bring the population up in size, and then maybe we can get back to where the fishery was 8-10 years ago.
Emerson Hasbrook, the governor's appointee to ASMFC, found the hearing to be most productive.
So it's very beneficial for us to hear public comment. We heard a lot of good things tonight that are going to help us to make our decision at the end of October. But the public input is very important, and I was very encouraged by the comments that were made today.
Remember, whatever state you're from along the Striper Coast, it's important to voice your opinion. You have until 5 p.m. on September 30th to comment on changes to the plan. I'm Fred Golafaro for thefisherman.com.